are we on YouTube and on Twitter? Let's see. We have the chat ramping up. Public chat. Yes. I know, I can't be late. I'm late 4 minutes. Well, I can. I know, YouTube Live is not easy. Can you guys hear me? Everything good? I need a sound check just to make sure everything is connected. This is not easy. Like last time, it didn't even save the chat, so you never know what's going on here. Let me see if we are live on my own channel. There's advertisements. Loud and clear, all good. Okay, there we are. That is excellent. Welcome to the Pioneer Academy on this beautiful Sunday. I hope you're all doing great and are ready for a hot session. So what is going on this week was pretty exciting. As you all know, we had earnings. And as always, it was a big drama. People complained about Elon not being on top of his game and everything. And I always tell everyone about these things. It's not Elon's job to be a little clown, a little presenter in these earnings. I have a very different take on it. I just tweeted about it. I X'd that I love when we have great earnings, blowing things out of the water, being on track and surprising on the upside on margins, automotive margins, on all kinds of things, and then have a bad, so-called bad performance in terms of the call, the energy, the vibes. That is all stuff that doesn't count. So what that means is you're getting a discount. You get all the facts. The facts are beautiful. The stock should be at 4 or 5. We saw that after earnings. And what happens? The stock drops. Then people complain about it. Oh, we need a new CEO. Elon should get out. He has to get training, or he should pay more attention. Why? Why? If someone shows you a house or a car and the market looks at the car and says, you know what? That car is worth $200,000. And then because the guy who sells the car is wearing a dirty t-shirt, everyone says, well, now you can get it for $150,000. That's good news. That's not bad news. People complaining, oh, this dude should learn. If he sells a Ferrari, why doesn't he wear a clean suit? Like, I love people who sell Ferraris and have like no manners, and then no one wants to buy the Ferrari and I can buy it. Not that I like Ferraris, but you know what I mean. That is exactly what's going on here. And I love it. So we are looking pretty good. I don't have the latest update on Pioneer Alpha's performance for this week yet. We have to still work on this. I didn't have time. I was very busy because I was preparing something, and I always need to manually review this. So you know that our latest performance is pretty good. We are here at 106% up since inception, but that's over 2 years. Tesla up 61%. That's since January 2024. But year to date, I'm very proud of that. That was pre-earnings. We are probably, I don't know, are we looking better or not? I think we are looking better a little bit, in Tesla a little worse. So not much difference, but we have 17% alpha over Tesla this year alone. I think we even have an alpha over S&P right now. Yes, 2% over S&P this year. Obviously, if you take a longer look, we completely crushed that thing. Since inception, S&P completely destroyed, 57% above S&P performance over the last 2 years and a quarter. So this is all very exciting. And today I wanted to start the session with a very important announcement that, as you all know, we launched some amazing financial solutions here. And we have a little surprise. So here's a new website. It's actually pioneeralpha.org. You can go there. This is not a solicitation to buy any securities. I'm just showing you what we're doing here. You can, everyone draws their own conclusions, can check out the website. But this is what I was talking about before. You all know about it. That was last week. And we launched this thing where you basically get up to 45%, or investors get up to 45% a year in returns. and it's pre-funded with a 10% upfront buffer by me, and that is what I launched last week. The underlying portfolio that is linked is the Pioneer Alpha portfolio. So basically, it's an investment through a bond into the portfolio, and you get up to 45% a year in returns, or the investors, not you, it depends who the investors are, and 10% upfront funded, because I have a certain confidence we can hit these numbers, even though no one knows this has downside and everything. So then we also have the income 10 that is now upgraded to income 12, 1% monthly paid out every quarter, so 3% a quarter on the principal, and then up to 100% in addition to that at maturity in 3 years, right? These were the two we discussed. These were the two we got a lot of feedback on, also a lot of interest. Very exciting for me to do this the first time with an institutionalized vehicle in Luxembourg. You guys know the story. I did Pioneer Alpha. Lots of people asked me. I thought about it and said, if we do something, it needs to be cool. And so we create this bond system. But here comes the surprise. You know all about these two. Here comes the surprise. Because so many people also told me, Joe, this is all fine and good, but I don't want 45%. Because I'm a Tesla bull. I believe Tesla is going to make way more than 300% or 200% gain in the next 3 years, which is 45% a year. I want upside. I want uncapped. I want total Tesla performance here. And so I thought about it, talked to the attorneys and everyone, the securitization team, what we can do. And we decided to give it a try and see if there's actually interest in that. And that's what I wanted to just discuss in the beginning today before we go into some Tesla details and then into the Pioneer Academy questions. So we are actually stress testing this here. We are ready to pull the trigger. And if we get 1 million together into this thing, we're going to launch it too. This is the performance version of the whole thing. Let me just quickly explain this and you guys can chip in. This is just a discussion session here where I'm presenting that, not a solicitation. So even if you're not interested or you're not qualified investor, if you just want to add your opinion and voice to this, this is all very important for Pioneer Lands. This is the infrastructure. On that, we will build the future of AI-related portfolios that generate income for everyone. So feel free to comment on it, regardless if you're interested in investing or not. Everyone can chip in here. So let me explain what this thing will be. So it takes the Pioneer Alpha portfolio, the portfolio that outperformed so far very nicely. Never a prediction of the future, but so far very nicely, as you all know. And Tesla 50 does the following. It basically takes the Pioneer Alpha performance and the cap of the performance. The investors get 100% of the performance all the way up to Tesla's performance. So Tesla here is the benchmark. So if Pioneer Alpha, for example, goes up 400% in 3 years, let's just say, and Tesla at the same time goes up 300%, then investors get 300%, right? Plus half of the alpha. So since in this scenario, in this example, Pioneer Alpha goes up 400%, Tesla goes up 300%, investors in that bond get 350%. Now, if Tesla in 3 years, if something terrible happens, Robotaxi gets canceled, Optimus gets canceled, total disaster, and Tesla goes up only 20%, and Pioneer Alpha goes up 80% because we have a nice alpha, as you know, in the past, so maybe we can maintain that, then investors get 50%, right, over these 3 years. So if Tesla makes up over 3 years, only goes up 20%, we go up 80%, investors get 20% plus the differential, which is 50%. 20 plus 30. And Tesla 3 year, so if Tesla goes up 50%, Pioneer Alpha goes up 20%. So here we underperform Tesla, right? So I do something stupid, I underperform, Tesla goes up higher than Pioneer Alpha, then investors only get 20%. So it's capped, of course, at the Pioneer Alpha performance. And if, I don't know, the world ends, if we invade Iran and then Russia nukes us, and Tesla drops 20%, and Pioneer Alpha drops only 10% because we maintain alpha, but we can't pull it off, then investors get the difference. So they lose 15%. Okay, Tesla goes down 20%. So That idea here is very simple. I like it. Let's see if people like it. You know, we can engineer things here, all based on Pioneer Alpha performance. So and I think for you guys, it's a good exercise to just listen to this, even if you're just interested in product design and financial engineering and product design. The idea here is very simple. We have a bond that in most circumstances, as long as Pioneer Alpha makes more money than Tesla, okay, will outperform Tesla. That's kind of the deal. As long as Pioneer Alpha outperforms Tesla, the investors in this bond will get more money than if they would have put that money only into Tesla. That was the objective here that we wanted to achieve based on the feedback, and I think we did it. That's a very nice design. So I just want to present that and hear everyone's opinion. What do you guys think about that? Past results do not guarantee future performance. That's absolutely true. Absolutely nothing is guaranteed here. It's just my own money in that too. So you can at least be guaranteed that I'm trying my best. But of course, we never know what happens. What are the downside risks? Is it limited to capital or beyond that? It's beyond that. It is linked to the portfolio. We have a risk mitigation because it's a bond. There needs to be a risk mitigation. So it's not a fund. And the risk mitigation is if we drop under 60% of initial principal, we need to liquidate. So there's a liquidation floor, right? If we drop more than 40% down, the whole thing needs to be liquidated. That's important in the Luxembourg law, that you can't just be a fund, right? This is definitely not a fund, it's a bond. So there is downside mitigation. Obviously, that's not a guarantee that we can only drop 40%. We have to liquidate within 1 day, and there can be gap down risk. But at least there is some thing. Looks great, Flash Brie. Thank you. Yeah, that's the situation. Seems fair, Andy Peters. Yeah, I think it's fair. It's just my way of designing a product that allows participation in the upside. Of course, it all relies on Pioneer Alpha and me being able to outperform Tesla. And as I said, of course, it can never be guaranteed. But you can be guaranteed that I'm trying my best because I will be probably, or with high certainty in this initial series, the biggest investor in this, in the underlying portfolio. So it will be mostly my money, depending how much we raise. And downside risk, yeah, of course, there's no magic. I mean, these are extremely, if Tesla performs, if AGI keeps performing, these are bonds. If the Pioneer Alpha portfolio keeps performing the way it did so far, which I hope it will, obviously the bond returns here will be much, much higher than regular bonds. And that always comes with more risk. So on the downside risk, you have not protection of capital. So that's the deal. So that is just my little launch here. You can go to pioneeralpha.org if you want and take a look. We will have the full terms by tomorrow, I think, but this website is already up and looking good. And that's it for now on the product side. You can always, and all you guys, I just invite you to track this whole thing regardless of whether you're interested in this or not. As an investor, you should definitely be interested as humans what we are doing here on Pioneer Reserve, because this infrastructure, in my opinion, will be crucial to make a difference in the age of AGI. Because if we can pull this off the way we plan to pull it off across these 3 different bond types, especially the income 12 for those who are not just Tesla fans, but just normal people who want to turn their capital into a source of income. For Tesla investors, this is not that interesting because it's capped at 100% in 3 years, plus paying out 3% quarterly. But imagine you're a normal person that is not linked into the whole crazy thing we're doing here and Elon is doing and all of you guys are total experts on, because you're watching my channel and other channels, so you know what's going on. But a normal person, when they hear they can make 12% a year on their capital, and after 3 years get on top of that 100% on their principal, that is not a normal deal, and it generates income. So obviously, if you're a Tesla bull, I am a Tesla bull, you think that's ridiculous. Like, why would you do that? That's only 100% in 3 years plus 36%. Why not just invest everything in Tesla and make potentially way more? Well, because normal people are scared of that. So if you're that, you can go here And if that happens, we probably outperform Tesla. But if you're more conservative and are not linked into the whole thing, this is a beautiful product. And it's all about us launching this thing, even with tiny amounts of money in it, or not tiny, but not necessarily millions in it. Launching the first series, build a track record here for the Pioneer Reserve in Luxembourg. It's available globally or in the US, in the UK, Switzerland, EU, and so on. And by doing that, we are building a track record, and a track record when it comes to bonds and these payouts is everything. Because most people will not have a total deep dive into the trajectory of AGI. They just want to see, okay, did this make money in the past? And if we can establish that, it's a very big deal. And especially because these returns are very high compared to other bonds, but not high compared to Tesla, if we outperform with the underlying portfolio, right, what these people are betting on here, then these people will get their own benefit because we're building up this buffer, right? It's capped, but the money doesn't just go to me or Pioneer Reserve. The money goes firstly into a buffer. So if we then underperform in the future, while this bond is running, they get fed these returns into their income. So this is a very elegant buffer mechanism. So these people are the greedy ones who believe in Tesla and just want to outperform Tesla. These people are the conservative ones, and these people are in between. And these two here, they will have a buffer where every time Tesla goes up 100%, we feed the buffer. And if we have a bad year or bad quarter, these people benefit from the buffer. Of course, they're unrelated, so Tesla plus 50 doesn't pay for these. It's all contained in different containers. They're not leaking into each other. But here you're buying basically more safety over here, whereas here you're buying upside. That is the design. I love it. I love this kind of thing because I believe finance and capital management in the age of AGI will be absolutely crucial to really build the foundation of a new economy where capital replaces labor, and that means most people will not be able to make enough money with labor. And so we really need to do something about it. I'd rather do it this way and create our own infrastructure for Pioneer Lands than hoping that some dude in the Trump administration or the Merz administration or the, what's his name, Keir Starmer administration, or our friend in Canada, or Macron, whoever, we can't even touch France. This is very dangerous with these products. France doesn't like any of this. But normal countries, I don't trust any of these guys to solve the problem, so we are solving it ourselves. Okay, that is the situation. Now, what else is going on? What do we have for questions here? Can you talk a bit more about what else you are holding in the Pioneer Alpha bond? I'm holding right now, biggest holding is Tesla. I'm also pretty strongly leveraged right now on Tesla because I think we are in a very good situation. So Tesla is my main playing ball. Why Tesla? Because I have the best understanding of Tesla compared to the other stocks. Because the Pioneer Alpha system is not just a system where you find great stocks that are undervalued and buy them and hold them. It is also a system that relies on the ability to time the specific equity, not the market a little bit, but timing the stock, right? And what that means is I think my timing ability with Tesla is better than with, let's say, Robinhood or NVDA. NVIDIA is my number 2 position. Number 3 is MicroStrategy, because I think Bitcoin is also in a very good position. And the last position is Robinhood. And then I'm building a lot of options around that, but with the main focus on Tesla, because with Tesla, I have the best confidence that I can predict certain things. And I think if I have any skill, then it's like the ability to predict something, being right about that, and to know how confident I am. So I can predict something, when something is going to happen, and I know how confident I am about that. Am I very confident or not confident? So, Diogenes. Okay, you claim all the time retrospectively you can generate alpha. Tesla went 4% up initially after earnings. You claim victory. Diogenes, just go to pioneeralpha.org. This is not speculation here. You can just look at the numbers. We generated massive alpha, and that's a fact. Not much to debate. Any fees for managing the fund? So Falcon, first of all, it's not a fund, it's a bond. The fee structure is very simple, 1.5% in operating expenses per year on principal. So it doesn't grow with a bond. So it's fixed 4.5% over 3 years total, and that's it. And these are not fees, they are operating expenses. Why would you not just hold Tesla? Well, because if Pioneer Alpha outperforms Tesla, which it did so far, not a guarantee, but over the last 2 years, and over this year, for example, but also over the last 2 years, we outperformed it. And with this bond, you're just getting half of the outperformance over Tesla. That is the attractive point of that bond. As stock, if you have a long-term view on Tesla, yes. How does one buy the bond? You go to pioneeralpha.org. You need to be qualified, but that's just accreditation in the US. That's easy. And check it out. And there's a little bubble here. Ask Joe. You can click on the bubble. If anything is unclear, you can send me a question. How much of your personal net worth do you keep in Tesla? I keep roughly half. Is that true? It depends how you count it. There's like illiquid stuff that is very hard to value. But on the liquid side, half of my stuff is in Pioneer Alpha. And roughly, because of complicated reasons, because I have some crypto exposure, not through the broker. So this is a whole different thing. And Pioneer Alpha is hard to tell, but it's probably 70% pure Tesla plus a lot of leverage. So it's over 100% Tesla. The minimum investment for these bonds is 25,000, but in the EU, unfortunately, it's 100,000 euros. Minimum investment for these 25,000 pounds, francs, or dollars, depending where you are. But in the EU, we have to make it 100,000. We are still looking into the details, but 100,000 gives us much more protection because there's some crazy EU rules. The more one makes predictions, usually the better they get at it. That's very deep, Austin 4. That is a very good observation. That's what I'm always... You're welcome. I like to be transparent. We're doing Pioneer Lens. This is not just a little financial interaction here. This is something we want to build long-term, and trust and transparency is very important. But to Austin 4's point, this is an important insight into the nature of reality engineering and future prediction. I totally agree. The more you make predictions, the better you get at it. But only if you make very clear predictions. That's why I'm the only one on YouTube and on X, even though I'm not doing it for YouTube, I'm doing it for myself. I'm very clear in my predictions. Otherwise, you waste your time, your training time. You want to be very specific so you can measure how correct you were. That's very important. So when I say, I think Tesla goes back to 400 potentially next week, because I think we're in a situation, if the world stays a little stable the way it is right now, it's not stable, but you know what I mean, if there's not crazy escalation somewhere, I think Tesla dropped too much. I think normally it's a 3-day rule that investors start to digest this, especially institutional investors. They will look at the report and then they come out with their estimations. And when you take a step back, you see that this was an excellent earnings report and everything else is vibes, stupid vibes. And you see the Robotaxi tracker over the weekend is now at 19 unsupervised. So it goes up 1 per day right now. It goes up like 5% a day. So I'm super bullish. I'm much more bullish than anyone else right now because everyone else is depressed, but I'm totally not depressed. So I'm into this. I think dropping is not the most likely situation unless the market implodes, which always can happen. So that's why I'm bullish, and I'm making these predictions very clearly, mostly for myself. It's like first to myself to train my brain, second for my trades, and only third for YouTube. Are you buying calls on Meta stock? No. By the way, I never like buying, I'm absolutely opposed to buying calls into earnings because you are just overpaying on premium. if I want to play earnings, but you have to be cautious about that. But I did it this time, and I did not lose money, even though it didn't go the way I wanted to. I had enough buffer. I came out nearly break even, maybe with a tiny little gain. I did short puts at the money, short puts at 380 and 385, 380. So that worked out actually pretty well. Hey Joe. Oh, B Wick Force. I think I see you on X. Yeah, go to pioneeralpha.org. You see everything there. Tomorrow we will have the term sheets up, by the way. We're doing one more round on that one. Go there. You can always DM me directly on the website. I'm not convinced we are done with the dip. We must stay above the at least 370. Let's see. I see this Robotaxi situation. When you look at the cyber caps coming out, I mean, people just have to understand we are now in production. They're churning out like 10 cyber caps a day. What's going to happen with them? So something is going on. I think there is a disconnect. Is there a restriction on liquidating after investing? I assume we cannot just go in and out of the bond. That is correct, Falcon. This is a 3-year bond. So maturity is in 3 years. And that means you're locked in. On the US side, it will be through an LLC in the United States. And there it will be possible if you want to sell, if an investor wants to sell LLC shares, the LLC is just a feeder that holds the bond. You can tell the manager, which is me, and the manager can then try to find a buyer, which should be possible, because we have a certain asset value directly attached, right, with full Luxembourg transparency. So it's pretty clear what the holding is and the value of the holding. So in the US, there might be, of course, no one can guarantee that, but you can put in a request for sale of any shares in the LLC, and then the manager tries to find a buyer. But it can't be automated. It can be a trading platform. That would be not legal. It needs to be manual. So that's going on there. So you have to, long story short, there might be liquidity, but it's not guaranteed. So you, in a way, you should be committed to holding this 3 years. Have you used TSLA as a way to multiply or leverage returns? No, I'm not a big friend. I can tell you why. We actually have, look at this. If you look at, let's say year to date, do you see that? Pioneer Alpha is up 6.12%. And that is actually as of April 17th, so not as of this Friday, but I don't think much changed. I don't know. I can't guarantee that, but we are not either a little higher or a little lower than this. So roughly about here. The S&P is up 4%, right? Tesla is down still 10.92%, okay, for the year. And now look at TSLL. Oops, not ARC. Boom, there you have it. And I did a whole video, I think, beginning of last year on TSLL. The problem is it's not as simple as it looks like. It's not just a beta of 2, right? It's not just leverage 2. You're losing money on this thing. You're losing much more than you think. So TSLL is designed for daily 2x leverage. So it only works intraday. If you hold it longer than intraday, because it's for all kinds of reasons, you can lose a lot of money. So TSLL is a very bad instrument for any longer period, even like a few weeks. It's not designed for that and might lose you a lot of money. Look at this. I mean, if you would have, well, of course, Tesla is down, but Tesla is down only 10% and TSLL is down 27%. So this is more than 2x. So I'm not a big fan of TSLL. You can use that if, of course, if you get into TSLL when on a run up, then it's good as long as it only runs up. You're making your leverage, but why not use options? I rather use short puts and things like that. Much better deal. More dangerous, but much better deal. What do you think is the timeline where we can actually buy a cyber cap? Well, I'm not even convinced that this happens. I think it's completely speculative that people can buy cyber caps. Maybe they can. It's a question of CapEx strategy by Tesla. Given the profitability of these things, I really doubt. I really think there's a clear scenario where Tesla simply doesn't sell cyber caps. Why would they? It might happen, might not happen. I think I was never into real estate. I was never into any real like assets outside liquid stuff. It's always the best thing. I'd rather have the shares and let Tesla do their thing. How much leverage do you use in the bond? Well, that really depends. I had, in Q1, there were times where I was zero leverage and only 70% invested. I had 30% cash, like 1 week in the middle of the Iran stuff. And that was actually very good. I generate some alpha being more conservative. But I mean, leverage is always hard to actually calculate because you need to multiply it with the deltas of all these options. But there can be significant leverage over 100%, yes. Not long term, not for long periods, but in tactical situations. Yeah, the cyber cap situation, we have to see how it goes. But I'm not that interested in actually buying cyber caps. I'm more interested in buying stocks and let Tesla manage this whole thing, even though they look amazing. So let's see what the Pioneer Academy has to offer us today, what the questions are. As you all know, you know the drill. You can go here. Let's see. You can go here to the beautiful Pioneer Academy, and we have these live sessions displayed here, and then we have all the questions here. You can click on these different themes and ask your question. You just click on ask your question and then ask it. And if you're a citizen, or if your question is tremendous, then it's gonna be used in these live sessions. Okay, so let's go into that and answer some questions. Let's see. Wait, why is this not showing? Uh-oh. Why is that not showing? This is a little weird. Let me see. I want to show you. Oh, it shows now. It was just delayed. When you sell short puts, you always have the funds to buy in case you get assigned. Greetings from Belgium. Hello to Belgium. Are you north or south? Are you Flemish? Or what are the other guys, the French? Price target for Tesla in 2028. I have to look at the latest. I think I still have my $6,000 price target for 2030. I pushed the 10,000 out to end of 2031. But I still have 6,000 for 2030. So 2028, I have to check the latest. I should do a video on the updated Flemish. Very good. I understand a little bit of Flemish. I understand Flemish more than Dutch. So, yeah, let's talk about the robots and if they will replace trades. This is a very smart question from Tim. So Tim is saying, given the rate of improvement in AI and the core function that it plays in the acquisition of new skills in humanoid robots, how long will it be before a humanoid robot starts replacing trades like electricians, plumbers, horticulturalists on a global scale? Additionally, what are the contributing factors to which trades would be filled by humanoid robots first, e.g. complexity of task, demand for work, and consistency of daily tasks? When you look through it, what are the typical applications? I think industrial manufacturing is probably number one, right? Because that's the easiest. Maybe at-home services are also one of the easiest because, and that's very important for Tesla stock, I believe even before these things become economically sound, to replace a maid or something, people would buy them by the millions. When you think about how many people have a lot of money and love robots, I think you can sell millions of Optimus into homes first. Because you have these innovators like the people who just buy stuff before it really works. And this is so cool and insane that if it can deliver anything reasonably impressive and any kind of utility, millions of them could be sold into households. So that's an underrated opportunity, in my opinion. Now, after these households, the first economically sound application, in my opinion, will be industrial manufacturing, because there you have repetitive tasks in car factories and all over the place, where these robots probably can help a lot. I don't think Amazon warehouses, for example, will be a main application, because I think these warehouses are kind of machines by themselves, and they are so clearly defined that you probably have specialized robots. So the whole warehouse will be a bunch of robots that are specialized. But in more manual manufacturing lines, I think that's the first thing. I think then you look at agricultural stuff, maybe even mining and these kinds of things. I think this forest stuff, horticulturalists, also relatively easy. When it comes to electricians, maybe even more than that, plumbers. I think plumbers are harder than electricians. I think there it becomes tricky. This will definitely be a whole, magnitude harder than mining, for example. And also a magnitude harder than, we are talking plumbers, but also painters and all these things. Maybe painters, who knows? So I think this will be a little tricky to get there. So it will take maybe a couple of years longer. And then at the tail end, of course, you have surgeons. That's the stuff that Elon talked about. Of course, that will happen like probably in 10 years or something. It will take some real time, because you need tremendously advanced robots for that. So you can basically create a ladder, like I would say 3 to 4 steps. Brain surgeon at the end, at the beginning, made for the innovators who don't need a robot to be more cost effective than a maid. And then stage number 2 is manufacturing, industrial manufacturing. Stage number 3 are like mining and forest work. Stage number 4 are then electricians and plumbers. And stage number 5, and some healthcare nursing stuff, electricians, plumbers, nurses. And then number 5 will be these very complicated things. So what are the contributing factors to which traits would be filled by humanoid robots first? I think you can really put it into a matrix. Yes, it's the complexity, the dexterial complexity of the task. I think the intelligence complexity doesn't matter. The robots will beat us right away on the intellectual complexity. But the dexterity required will be very important. And potentially also the strength. I don't know how good they are in strength. Consistency will not be a big problem, I think. So, you want to deploy these things also in areas where it's dangerous for humans. I think street work, right? That's something. And of course, you have stuff like military and law enforcement. I mean, that's a very interesting situation. Because, of course, it's very Terminator-like, very disturbing, but at the same time, the value is insane. Imagine you have a police situation, a hostage situation, whatever. These things, they're expendable. You can just deploy them. Imagine police. I mean, police is and also firemen. Firemen, police, they are at very high risk. Why put humans in harm's way? The police could just remote control the robots, send them first, let them clean it out first, and then come in. Riot control. Like, the funny things, especially the dystopian stuff, is actually super valuable to do first. So this will be very interesting. Very interesting. Not just interesting, scary. And space exploration, exactly, Leonardo. I don't know how long these things keep. They need to be space ready. So that will be pretty interesting. Flemish and Wallonia side, French speaking. Flemish, French speaking, that's good. Robotaxi app released for Android users. I know, that's an indicator. I know. This is all coming together. I would not be surprised if we get surprised. This is very interesting. So here is CyberCab ready before V15 is released. We will get into that now. First, let me check some more questions. In corporate, leadership in corporate says using AI will take the jobs away from those that don't use AI, but I have trouble imagining any human involvement if the AI can do it better. Can you expand you? Thanks. I totally agree. I think it's the biggest gaslighting operation I've ever seen when it comes corporate investors, VCs, some politicians talking about AI. The idea that there won't be absolute mass replacements of humans in 2027 is ludicrous. It's just so stupid. Like, why would you not replace all the humans if you are a CEO or investor? Like, of course you're going to replace them all. The question whether there will be an equivalent amount of new opportunities for humans is a question that's why we have pioneer lands. In theory, every single human could turn into a pioneer and make billions of dollars per capita now. But that requires some enormous leap. You guys can do that and I can do it, but the general population, they don't even know what we're talking about. They're not watching Joe's channel. They're not on Pioneer Lands discussing with you guys in our discussion spaces. They're clueless. They will be destroyed, unfortunately. You just have to think in basic principles, not even first principles. You just have to think with your brain. There is Claude, Cowork. There is now ChatGPT 5.5. There's DeepSeek on their heels. DeepSeek version 4. Look at that thing. This is all happening, plus Optimus, plus Robotaxi. Really? And this is all converging at shocking speed. I'm working on this stuff every single day on the agents. I have to switch my entire system every like 4 weeks because now Cowork and Claude Design has completely overtaken Lovable, for example. I love Lovable, but now it's getting destroyed suddenly by Claude Design, and Claude Design is just breathtaking. Today we did the whole GitHub connectivity with Claude Code and design versus Lovable. The speed is shocking. Plus Robotaxi, people don't get it. Like, we have 19 Robotaxis now unsupervised. No one even noticed in 3 cities suddenly. What do you think is happening next? The idea that you will have these jobs around next year is just insane. And then the idea if you replace millions of people, we are talking about, they're very mid, right? By definition, most people are mid. As I said, they're not watching Pioneer Lands. They're not participating in Pioneer Lands. We have 5,000 members. Like, we have 1 billion people in Europe and the United States and North America. Like, what about the other? Like, we have 5,000 secured, 1 billion to go. That's how I see it. So it's going to be very interesting. There will be enormous problems. That's what I think. There will also be enormous opportunities. And these corporate people, they're just gaslighting everyone. It's like, oh yeah, you learn a little AI and then we fire you. Okay, mostly folders, a bit of everything. Mostly folders, a bit of everything. I think the question isn't what is easiest for Optimus. They will go where they can provide the most economic value first. Exactly. It's going to be very tactical also, because in the beginning you will have a lot of pilots, right? Not pilots, not flying planes. I mean, pilots. There will be a company like Pepsi and the semi-truck. There will be another company like Home Depot will go, or McDonald's, one of my favorites. I mean, I hate McDonald's, but the McDonald's play. McDonald's could just take 1,000 Optimus, put them into McDonald's and sell more stuff because everyone would go to these McDonald's just to get served by the Optimus. So, I mean, this is real. They would make money on this. Andy Peters says, households dangerous for Tesla, too dangerous for Tesla Optimus. Think about kids, pets might die without real cause. Yeah, maybe. But this is like Robotaxi. I think you're right that in order to deploy a lot of them into households, there would need to be a dedicated vertical team. Probably on every use case, you need a dedicated Tesla team that manages that vertical. And in households, it's very similar to Robotaxis, that you train these Optimus to basically behave like a Robotaxi. If there's anything going on that in any way could be dangerous, you just take it down. Complement but not replace the trades. Well, I'm not sure. You might get replaced. Space exploration, of course. Robocop, yes. This is very funny. Guys, this is also something. In case you didn't notice, the world is getting more unhinged, which is also something that was very predictable and that I predict to get exponentially worse. a destabilization of the world, because we will all get more and more confused. There will be a content explosion. No one will know anymore what's going on. Politics is pushing the boundaries, both in the EU and in the US. What is allowed, like they just do all crazy stuff and no one cares anymore. Everyone says, yeah, they're the politicians, they're insane. That wasn't like that before. And so we see destabilization all over the place. And the side effect of that is that people like Palantir, people like Anduril, and people like OpenAI with the Pentagon, all these things that were incredibly taboo, killer robots, automated killing loops with drones, no one even talks about it anymore. Everyone's like, of course they're going to kill all kinds of people at the front lines. And the next thing will be, of course, there will be Robocops. Of course, they're going to murder a bunch of bad guys. I think that's very concerning. I'm just here to not judge. I'm not Judge Dredd. I'm just going to tell you guys what I see coming and how I see society react. I think society will be very distracted and cynical, and I will say, yeah, surprise, surprise. The cops can kill you and they're robots. So I think it's just going to happen because it's economically so attractive. The economics of war and the economics of law enforcement are just enormous economic forcing function towards robots being deployed. And who's going to stand up against it? In order to stand up against these things, you need an organized populace, and we have the exact opposite. We have complete chaos. So that means it's going to happen sooner than later. Corporate Shill 66 says, work as hard as you can now to make as much money and invest. 100% correct. If you can make money with work, then work especially hard for the next 12 months because it's coming to an end. Find nice off-ramps and get very good in investing. Dr. Fish Capish is back. Hi, Joe. Good to see you. Yes, good to see you. What corporate jobs do you see going first? Well, I can tell you, think about it. Sales, all the dummy ones, the easily automatable. Of course, coding, are you kidding me? Coding, only the difference is that now you need more and more, not coder, you need product managers who understand code, that manage these AI systems. And they will not go away anytime soon in the next 36 months because you will need them more and more. But these are more entrepreneurial and product designer who also understand code a little bit. Which means you don't even have to be technical, you can learn that very quickly. So they are not going away, but standard coders are going away. Everyone in administration, healthcare administration, these are so many jobs. Banking, legal, mid-level, junior jobs, complete wipeout. HR, complete wipeout. These very dumb jobs where you just have to repetitive review stuff. These are all getting murdered. And right now you see how Anthropic launches a new product and kills a bunch of, like an entire sector at the stock market in the S&P, like software getting murdered. They're launching Claude Design and the entire design software sector goes down the same minute they launch it. The same is true, just not with stocks, for these employment verticals, only that you don't see it because there's no stock. But Claude will knock them out one after another, and OpenAI is after them too. And then, of course, Elon is working on Digital Optimus. It will be complete havoc. And what people do not understand, this is one of these examples where it's truly true that the average NPC doesn't understand exponentials, the average corporate or political or Wall Street NPC. They say, look, so far, AI hasn't replaced a lot of jobs. Well, first of all, it has, and you can start to see it really in the statistics, but this will be extremely exponential, vastly exponential. I said it in early 2025 that I believe that 2027 will be a storm. It will be an absolute storm. So I maintain that prediction. 2027, I think, will be a wild year. And after that, it doesn't get better. But 2027 will be the first year where there will be mass panic about this kind of stuff. Economic implication, employment implications, security implications. They will be out in the open. They're clear for us now, There will be much more clear to many more people in 6 months, but in 2027, it will hit the normies over the head. We have to be prepared for all these things because there's always huge upside to all these disruptions, but there's definitely downside. So there's no way a bot will replace plumbers and electricians for a decade. I would not be sure about that. It will be more at the end of the decade than the beginning. I agree with that. It will be not this decade. But in 2035, are you kidding me? I think there will be things going on we can't even imagine. Okay, what do we have? Optimus will never happen to any large degree. Tesla is struggling with FSD. I disagree, of course. I don't think that is true. I think you also have to consider we have an exponential R&D power trajectory here with the whole AI stuff going on inside Tesla or inside other companies too. Why do you think Optimus is going to be so capable when we don't even know what it can do? Because you can triangulate that. No one works in isolation. Look how the other robots are very capable. We know what the Chinese are doing. We know that figure 1 is getting more and more impressive. The idea that Tesla is totally behind them is very likely very wrong. Very likely Tesla is just very quiet because they do not want anything out there that can be copied. That makes total sense to me. When you just overlay that, the amount of capital, the amount of talent, the amount of pressure Tesla has on that project is just vastly more than anyone else. So even if Tesla would be less competent than the others in doing this kind of stuff, they would beat them. So I think at a minimum, Optimus will be highly capable and in the top 3 robots. But maybe even more likely, it will be significantly ahead. But they don't need to be much ahead. It's not like FSD. I think you can also tell that Elon understands that Optimus is not going to be like FSD. FSD is just no competition. Optimus will have competition. That is very clear. Due to AGISI, one bot will learn one thing and the next day the full fleet. Absolutely. I mean, this is one of these extremely hard to develop an intuition for facts. I mean, we can't even imagine. Like, imagine you have millions of these things running around, and at any point in time, each of them knows what the frontier robot knows in this fleet. It's crazy. Just imagine all of us, just us 5,000 pioneers. Imagine each of us would always know the most of whatever any of us knows. You can't, like, we would have a super civilization, and these robots will be like that, of course. Well, we will see about that, but kind of, at least in principle. Training a task for 6 months with a full team to one bot or small group is definitely worth it, as the knowledge will replicate to all bots. Exactly. Leonardo, wow, we have so many questions. That is what they said about cars driving themselves and rockets being irresolvable, hard, but not impossible. Exactly. I think the robots are actually easier. I think the robots are easier than the rockets, and they're easier than the cars, FSD. Any progress on wireless charging? I think so. I think it works well, but I don't think it's super necessary for scale. Chase brokerage employees. Not just Chase brokerage, a lot of them are useless. SpaceX buying Cursor. Well, this is just a perfect no-brainer deal. There was a very good post on it, but what the deal is. It's 10 billion. They are going to do a bunch of stuff so they can basically test out if the Cursor repositories and all the linked accounts and all the stuff they know, how much that actually boosts. They're paying 10 billion to test it out, how good it is. And if it turns out it's actually as good as it might be, they can basically execute a call option and get it all for 60 billion. Very elegant deal, in my opinion. I've been holding TSLA, but never thought about selling covered calls. Yeah, well, you guys are just be cautious about this TSLA stuff and covered calls. The breaking news is that we are launching T+50. That's a very exciting bond. Maybe you missed it in the beginning. You can go to pioneeralpha.org and check it out. I'm very excited about this. Let's see what happens. I think that there is a very large market for education in the agentic AI side for workers that literally nobody goes for. Well, I think there are tons of these markets all over the place. This is a golden age for entrepreneurs because the world is being redesigned, fundamentally redesigned. So there are infinite opportunities all over the place. Corporate Shield 66 says China already has robots that do work on the power lines. Yeah, I know. This is happening faster than people think. The roofing industry, well, that's a little complicated. I think that's more on the tail end. I'm all for the robots taking the jobs. I went to Taco Bell last night and the dumb human couldn't even get my order right. I actually think Galactic Marine, no wonder that a Galactic Marine is annoyed by this. You come from the galaxy. You should be annoyed by all the stupid fast food people. I think fast food might be one of the first big things for robots because it's a Goldilocks moment. You save money replacing the humans. The humans are not very engaged, most of them, and you attract customers. Just think about it. Would you, if you're in LA and you know the In-N-Out has like robots or the McDonald's, I would go there. Can we invest in Pioneer Alpha via German brokers like Scalable Capital? Asked Dan Learning. Am I allowed to talk about this? Well, I can talk about it as a corporate plan, not as a product announcement. So Pioneer Reserve is working on, maybe end of the year, this is a big operation, making the bonds actually retail accessible and tradable. Yes. So they will be available in brokerage apps. And then there will be no minimum, of course, because it's full retail. As you can imagine, that's like a lift, and it will not be available in the United States. So the United States needs to maintain the accredited status. This will be Europe only. Let's see. This is a major operation, as you can imagine, but I'm very excited about it. Austin 4, visit any factoring. You will see what robots can do. Yes, it's crazy. What is your adjusted forcing function timeline roadmap? I will discuss this a little bit more later, but not too much has changed. I think the sentiment is much more negative than the facts. Think Tesla may get into drones. I think they should. They might be very busy, but let's see. Throw out McDonald's or any fast food and bots. I just experienced SoundHound's AI at a drive-through, and it was very simple and smooth. I don't know SoundHound's AI with drive-throughs. Okay, let's go to the Pioneer Academy here and talk about, is CyberCab ready before V15 is released? Yeah, quick comment on this. I do think so. So Peter asked the question, 14.225 in my Model Y. The other night at a light, I'm turning left and the car was approaching fast from the other direction. I was already under the light ready for the turn and the light turned yellow, then red as the car approached while I'm still under the light. Model Y jerked a few times trying to decide what to do, then just stopped. I had to intervene. Yes, it's still terrible in parking lots, but that's not even 14.3. It's too courteous, too pedestrian. The main problem is my first point, it's actually a safety issue. If the CyberCab is operating on 14.3, which does some improvement by Elon himself said it's not ready for scaling. I think the following. Good question, Peter. And for sure, 14.225 is not ready for that. 14.3 has now laid the foundations. And I don't know what people are talking about for version 15. Elon and Ashok are crystal clear. 14.3, number one, is enough for scaling. We do not need to wait for version 15. They were very clear on that. And number two, the main bottleneck for scaling is not safety anymore. We don't have a safety issue. We are too safe and cautious right now, which leads to these little edge cases where, the robotaxis just drive in circles. So they are working now on keeping it safe, but relaxing that to allow to get rid of these problems that are not safety issues, but convenience issues. That is exactly what they said. And I believe them. I think we are with 14.3 and the consecutive pre-version 15 versions, we will be ready to scale to a certain amount, I think to multiple thousands before version 15. And I think version 15 is probably coming in Q4, maybe in Q3. And all of that just means for me, I think we have already hit the inflection point on Robotaxi. And people just don't get it. They're being cooked like the little frogs. The water is heating up. They're getting cooked and they don't get it. I think I don't know what people are talking about. We have reached the inflection point. Look at this. I shared this. Like, what do you think that is? That is unsupervised Robotaxi. What is that? That is scaling. Sure, it's on a low base, but I mean, they started at 0 January 20th. Now it's 3 months later. We are at 19, by the way, in case you didn't notice, in more cities. Dallas, Houston. We have now 2 unsupervised in each. We have 4 in Dallas and Houston, and we have 15 in Austin. And look at this. This was exactly coinciding. Here was CyberCab launch. See, end of March. And guess what happened? Boom, boom, boom. So sure, we don't know. This is far away from my 1,800 forcing function, but is it far away? Is it far away on a timeline? Let's see about this. So I think everything is actually going according to plan. Little delayed, but not fundamentally delayed. So that's why I don't understand why people, I think they don't see the forest between the trees. That's what I think. Of course, you need to be patient and focused on making your bets, but I am exactly that. So that is my take on the whole version 15 situation. I do not think we have to wait for this. It's going to be nice to have it, but it's more the cherry on top. And what's happening before is scale. That is what I think. Let's click on Mark as seen on YouTube. Does this work to disappear? Ooh, very nice. My Pioneer Academy works better and better. We are debugging this. Is there a correlation of Tesla information release and stock price? That is an interesting question. I'm wondering if there is any correlation to the kinds of Tesla information being released and the actual release of the product and what I care about the most, increase in stock price. What made me think of this is Tesla release of the doors opening on the CyberCab during a sunrise. I think Tesla has done something similar for other new releases. Well, I think that's exactly the source of alpha we can use. We need to be on top of the news. We have to interpret the news, and we have to be a little bit, in front of this. We have to front run it a little bit. I don't think there's an automatic release. The stock market is wild. People have to spot information, interpret it. That's what we are doing here. How do I sign up to buy Pioneer Bond investment that closes soon? I would like to be one of the first investors. That's a great question. I like that question, Jonathan. Pioneeralpha.org should be very simple. Go to pioneeralpha.org. And there you see everything. You can also write me a message there if you have any questions. So that is easy to answer this question. Just joined up and saying hello. That's very nice, Michael. Welcome, Michael. Just want to say hello. I've been watching you on YouTube for 6 months now, and you got me interested in stocks as I have followed Elon from the first days of SpaceX. I've just joined the family and looking forward to learning. Mike. Welcome, Mike. Welcome to Pioneerland. It's great to have you here, and thanks for asking a question. It's not a question, it's saying hello. Do we have more questions here with you guys? Oh, so many questions. McDonald's, Joe, your new profit share for your Pioneer Alpha is great idea. Well done. You get all alpha upside plus 50% of your hard work creating alpha. I know. Thank you. Well, it's also an exercise for me, like we always talk about the pioneers and Elon and making things happen. Am I frozen here? Oh no, I'm just... And this iteration as an entrepreneur, I'm also an entrepreneur when it comes to the bonds. It's a very important endeavor for me, as you know, because I think we can build a new financial infrastructure for Pioneerlands here. and make a lot of people happy if you do it right. But yeah, this, I'm also learning. I'm getting you guys' feedback, also the investor feedback. Who likes the Growth 45 bond? Who likes the other bonds? And we are learning and doing this together because in the end, we all need to win and everyone needs to get what they want. Everyone has to understand the risk. This is a discretionary management of me, of the portfolio that is linked. And now that we have that infrastructure set up in Luxembourg, securitization vehicle, nice oversight, nice auditor, everything nice. We will put on the website very soon, the full team. So you see who we are, the actual people executing this. But now we have a nice securitization infrastructure. That's why bonds are so much better, these structured bonds like this, than a fund. A fund is like a clunky thing, has all kinds of problems. Here we have a securitization infrastructure where we can actually design products that meet the needs of investors. And these needs might be very different. If you have a Tesla bull that says, I don't care about anything, I have total belief in Tesla, I just think Joe can outperform Tesla, therefore give me a bond where I can just outperform Tesla when everything goes right. That is exactly what we launched here. Other people say, I don't want that, I want safety. You can keep all the gains over, 100% gains plus 36% plus 1% per month, but pay me and make sure that whatever happens, I get maximum risk mitigation compared to the underlying portfolio. I want risk mitigation, I want income and risk mitigation. And then people in between who say, I want up to 45% a year, you can keep the rest, but you make sure that if you underperform, I have some safety here. And that's what I would be paying for. So I like it, but it's all about interacting with the community to understand who wants actually what and can we make it happen. I think it's very cool. I always love this stuff. Okay, how will the Pioneer bond be affected by a possible merger? Great question. We solved that problem already. It's a prorated thing. So you basically, if Pioneer Alpha outperforms Tesla, Tesla is the benchmark, 50% of the outperformance goes to the bondholders, plus of course the base Tesla performance. If there's a merger, that's all prorated. So let's assume Tesla merges one-on-one with SpaceX. That basically means, let me think, now I'm like, we just came up with the exact terms. It is all so in a merger, the performance is measured all the way up to the merger as Tesla, and the merged entity takes over. Very simple. So if Tesla went up 100% and then gets merged, the benchmark is 100%, Pioneer Alpha is 100%, then a waiting period until the new merger starts trading, and then continues from there. So if Tesla goes up 100%, then gets merged, and then SpaceX owns Tesla and goes up another 100% at maturity, that's 100%, boom, plus 100% of the 100%, so that's 400% or 300% gain, right? So if you invest $1,000, Tesla turns into 2,000, and then another 100% up, it's 4,000. So you made 3,000 gain on your 1,000. And so that's your benchmark. And then if Pioneer Alpha is above, whatever is above this Tesla and then taken over by SpaceX performance, 50%. That is the rules for a merger. And if Tesla ceases to exist, ceases to trade, goes up 100%, then whatever gets delisted at that price, we just keep, it's 0% from there, 0% growth from there. What is this here? This is like spam. I don't like spam. Athena coin, you get banned now. Boom. No pumping of stupid stuff. Joe, I think the plan you propose is fair. Share the upside as well as the downside. This is definitely what I envisioned as well. Yes, thank you. Can't wait till version 16. Well, version 16 will take some time to become real. We have to first get... so here we get into complicated questions. Oh, now we get more Strategic. So how to earn a living after AI and robot takeover? That's a very deep question. Luke Skywalker. It's easy to imagine how AI and humanoid robots will take over more than 50% of the world's employment, especially in the West, by the way. I can see the advantages for companies choosing that route, but how are the huge number of unemployed people going to earn their living? So here's my strategy on this whole thing. I think the disruption and the craziness that is coming for us, for all of us, can't even be imagined. For me, 2029 is truly event horizon. Not on a Tesla side, I can't predict Tesla, but I can predict society. I think there will be some crazy stuff going on. Okay? And that means we shouldn't like break our little heads, little pretty heads, about this whole thing. What we need to do is focus on ourselves. That's what you do in times of chaos. You know, make sure you're focusing on yourself, the people that are important to you, and your tribe. Whatever your tribe is, most people don't have a tribe. That's the first problem. That's why building pioneer lands. I think we need forward-thinking people who are smart, rational, level-headed, and good people who also understand what the hell is going on, at least want to understand it, because we are stronger together, and there will be wild times ahead. Now, I don't want to be a doomer, even though there's some doom potential, some serious doom potential. But of course, there's also the potential of enormous opportunity and abundance. But whatever happens, it will be a time of complete chaos and disruption. And it will be here in the next 36 months. People don't get it. It will be wild. It will also be politically wild. It will be like wild. And so we shouldn't worry too much about things we can't even predict because this is a systemic chaos problem. What we need to do is keep the eyes on the prize. We need the right people, good humans, money, and very high returns. Then we can build great stuff. That's all I know. And use a lot of AI. And really watch out and not do it alone. Right? These are the principles with that we can survive and thrive. That was my original slogan for Pioneer Lands. Survive and thrive in the age of AGI. This will be wild. And it will start being really wild, like objectively wild, next year and then goes exponential. That's exactly what's going to happen. Total disruption of everything. From big companies taking over Anthropic, maybe Google, XAI, Tesla, they will get so much power in SpaceX, but also Microsoft, also Amazon, all these people. They will be so much more powerful than the most powerful government that it will be a little scary. And at the same time, intelligence will absolutely be disseminated everywhere. And then we just have to learn how to use that intelligence for us, to our advantage, but also to build more sustainable things than just money. Money is always the key, the foundation, but we have to build more than that. So it's truly a reality engineering time we are entering into, and it has started already. That's what I'm trying to motivate everyone in Pioneer Lands. Like, we have to do these things. We have to learn. We are building the Pioneer Academy out. And that is the journey we are on. What is next? Does unlimited intelligence have unlimited economic value? That's an easy question. Yes. Yes. So John says, I have two questions. I know this came out long. Hope that's okay. First, does unlimited intelligence have unlimited utility? Yes. Does unlimited intelligence have unlimited economic value? Yes. I can make it very quick. I don't even have to read the long. This is a very long. You guys should read it. This is very interesting what John wrote here. But the answer is yes. We have to understand the nature of economic value. Economic value means you can build a new reality. That's why I called it reality engineering. But even on a small economic product scale, you basically envision a world that is different from the current world. That world can be very trivial. Maybe it's just a nicer t-shirt. Maybe it's just a nicer soft drink. But it could also be multiplanetary civilization. It doesn't matter. In principle, a soft drink and multiplanetary civilization is the same thing. It's a non-existing future reality. And your vision is, I want to make that reality happen. I want to be able to deliver little soft drinks that taste very good to my neighbors. Or I want to be able to have cities on Mars with their own government. Same thing. Only one takes a little longer than the other. But both in principle are the same thing on the same vector, the progress vector. It's a vector where you have a new world with higher value, higher value generation. What is higher value? People have more of their needs satisfied, especially people who have resources. Because it's not just how happy you make people, but the level of happiness you bring to people multiplied with the amount of money these people have. That is the economic value. And that means to make people happy who can make other people happy is more valuable than making people happy who can't do that. Because people who can make other people happy have more money. That's why they have more money. So if you make those people most happy and give them a lot of happiness who also can give other people happiness, you get especially rich. You can also give people who can only make a little happiness to other people, but hit a lot of them, then you also get rich. So that's kind of the rules. And all of that just means you can engineer new realities. In order to get the soft drink or your civilization on Mars done, you need to understand reality. You need to envision your new reality. You have to be right about this new reality, that it actually is more valuable. And then you need to figure out how to transition current reality into that future reality. That is the engineering cycle. The engineering cycle that makes everything possible. And then you need to go through that cycle faster and faster and learn. Okay? So that is why intelligence that just accelerates each of these points, imagination, engineering, and simulation, and learning, all of that gets much faster with intelligence, which means intelligence accelerates its central engineering cycle that makes everything possible, which means, yes, unlimited intelligence leads to unlimited economic value, which is a very important insight. That is also why NVIDIA, that is why all these semiconductors, that is why space, AI, all of these are uncapped TAMs. You can make quadrillion, pentillion, sextillions of dollars or bitcoins, whatever. No doubt about it. And for the first time ever in history, are we now in a completely self-reinforcing circle because intelligence itself has become a product for the first time ever. And that is a very big deal. That is why, when it comes, and the funny thing is a lot of financial investors, even the normies, even Fidelity and these people understand that. That's why they are so bullish on SpaceX. They understand that the amount of AI satellites you can deploy through SpaceX and space is virtually unlimited. Unlimited. You can deploy quadrillions of these satellites, trillions of gigawatts, and there would be more and more demand. There would be actually more and more demand the more you deploy. So we definitely have hit the infinite money glitch, but it has enormous risks that are outside economics. So it's a very exciting, crazy situation when you think about it. Okay, do we have any questions about that? If you believe Tesla is going up in the near term, then why wouldn't you buy TSLL? Well, because I'm going short Tesla puts. That's much better. Why is this guy here still not blocked? We are getting spammed. Unwanted commercial content. Boom, blocked. Don't spam the thing. Why did this blink? Super chat. Oh, someone gave me money? Who was that? CH2000 USA. $9.99. This is a good day. I can buy something tonight. Thank you so much. Yes, so that's the situation. Is this still on? Okay, so let's continue. We finished this question. It was an amazing question. Thank you so much. We are nearly done with our seminar tonight, but we have 2 more questions. Creating alpha under current circumstances. Casey. I currently hold a significant position in Tesla Leaps expiring in June and December 2026. Ooh. Not my favorite timing. This is a very short timing, depending what your strike price is. Because you are in the middle of massive decay, time decay, right? So once you fall under 12 months out, time decay becomes a serious problem. So you're losing a lot of money if nothing happens. I'm in the process of rolling the June calls, but the capital outlay is quite high. To finance this, I'm looking for a balanced approach to income generation. On one hand, I'm hesitant to sell covered calls because I don't want to cap my upside. Yes, during a potential breakout. On the other hand, I recognize I'm leaving significant income on the table. Yes, that's why you don't want to be in this situation. You don't want to be in a short-term call situation because you're losing too much money on the premium when the stock goes sideways, or even if the stock goes slightly up but not enough. Then you have to think about all these things, and you have to think about short call selling, and then you're capping your upside, and it's like all very tricky. Rather than avoiding covered calls entirely, should we identify specific strike price and expiration dates that allow for alpha generation without taking on significant upside cap risk? I think it's very tricky, Casey. I don't like the situation. This is like in war, right? You don't want to be in a situation where you are on the hill and the Viet Cong surrounds you, and then you have to make tactical decisions, and none of your decisions is actually good because you're already in a strategically compromised situation. I like to be the sniper on the high ground. I don't want to be at risk at all. So the first measure you take is do not get into a situation where you hold leaps that expire less than 12 months out, because then you start to panic when you see the time decay. Not good. Second, you don't hold leaps super long. You try to actually go into leaps when you see an irrational sell-off of the stock. And what we are seeing right now, by the way, is for me not a great leap situation. Last year, when we had 220, that was complete insanity. That is leap. So I'm reserving my alpha roll strategy where I'm going into leaps and rolling whatever I have into leaps for extreme situations. This Tesla at 360 is not an extreme situation, right? Because technically, if you look at the whole chart, not fundamentally, but technically, we could be at 490 or we could be at 400. So I think tactical upsides here is that thing needs to go to 400 and could just run to 490 with no good reason. But that's it, right? That's not that much of a crazy run. So I'm not a big friend of going all into leaps right now. It would be a different situation if I see Robotaxi getting closer to the forcing function and the market not reacting, right? That's a different topic, because then my upside, my current upside, just very conservative upside, is 490. Because we can go to 490, we should go to 490 without much happening for many reasons. If this upside gets lifted, if I see Robotaxi has actually an active breakout, is getting close to 1,800, has a clear line of sight to 1,800, then this gets lifted to 600, 700, 800, and then it's more worth going into leaps. So for leaps, I need to see massive mispricing, and I need to see a reasonable chance that we go on a run soon. Because what you don't want is to hold leaps forever, because then you enter the bad territory, and Casey, unfortunately, is already in the bad territory. So you don't want to get there. Boom. Final question. Oh, we already had that. I didn't mark it. Boom. Q finished. There you have it. That is our that was our little session today. What happened to the comments? I don't see any more comments. Did we freeze the comments? I see them all here, but I don't see them on YouTube. My comments on YouTube got chopped somehow. Let's close this. Here is the Pioneer Academy. You should go here and ask questions. So, what happened to the YouTube comments? Yeah, they froze. That's so weird. Okay, now I missed all the questions. Oops. What is that? More questions? I have the spammer here, but you guys don't see the spammer. I already blocked him. They want to sell us some Bitcoin stuff. Let's see. Okay. YouTube and this whole thing is messed up. Do you have options course or don't want to compete with Nicholas Gibbs? Well, Nick does a good job with this kind of stuff, and I'm like not in that business. I'm in the business of creating the Pioneer bonds and the Pioneer Reserve. So if people like Pioneer Alpha, they can just invest in that. And I'm not in the business of creating like real options content. That's like an endless story, and I'm, long story, but it's not my main focus to create these courses. Also, I do not think, I don't see a future where everyone should learn to do options trading. Options trading is, first of all, there are many ways of doing that, and I have my very specific way. I have my very specific technique that I didn't see anyone ever do. I have kind of a directional, foundational, like fundamentally and technically driven option strategy that doesn't even have to do much with option technicalities. I'm kind of predicting what a stock does, and then I'm just using options to leverage it, to build the risk profile I want. So I'm more like an options engineer than an options trader. How did you manage your in the money put options this last week? Well, I nearly had no in the money put options. I had 385 and 380 and 375. So they were all at the money or out of money. Because of course I want some buffer in there, and they were all actually closing, nearly all of them were closing positive, because we closed at 376, and I got very good premiums on that. But I took some losses before because Tesla dropped before earnings, and then I had a 410 and a 400 position, and I closed them both before earnings because my discipline was I want to be at the money, not in the money, and that actually paid off. I'm based in Australia. Can I invest in Pioneer Lands in the Pioneer Bond? Manuel Chilia. We are working on Australia. You guys have some weird rules. The trick with any investment product in all regions like this, you need to follow the rules, the marketing and distribution rules. And in America, you need to be an accredited investor, and we need to actually vet that. For Luxembourg, we need to do some KYC AML on everyone. In UK, you have to be qualified investor. And in Australia, to our knowledge, you need to have local broker dealers and stuff like that. So it's a little heavy duty to actually do that compliantly in Australia. So we have to be cautious and still are working on it. But I had multiple Australians asking now, so I'm definitely interested in figuring out how we can do Australia. Is it integrated with Drive Wealth? I'm from India and want to invest via Drive Wealth. No, I don't know Drive Wealth. So it's still like for qualified investors across all regions. I'm sure India has something similar like that. And Drive Wealth, I don't know exactly what it is, but it's probably for retail investors. So we're not there yet. Joe, I'm trading my own account and making better than 30%, mostly cash secured puts. That being said, it is very stressful as I'm semi-retired and don't want to watch the market 24/7. I hear you, ZH. First of all, thanks for the $9. That's amazing. 30% alpha over Tesla. That's pretty good. But yes, you're right. I mean, it's definitely doable, but it's a full-time job. You need to, because you make one mistake and you have a problem. So it's not hard to win most of the time. It is just hard to never lose. Because you can win 90% of the time. If you have a wipeout once, you're just dead, right? You lost all your money. So that is the problem. You can never make a mistake. You can never make a big mistake. What happens to Pioneer bonds if, God forbid, something happens to me? I think Elon is more at risk than me. But good question. I think I have to look into that. I'm sure we have some, because it's Luxembourg oversight. Probably everyone gets their money back, except me, because I'm dead. That would be very sad. But I'm sure we have contingencies in there. And normally if it's like a key man risk, it's not super dangerous. for the money, in my opinion, because there would be a liquidation thing and then everyone gets their money back. Yes, technically intelligent is indeed unlimited, but it's worthless without shaping atoms. And here we are with SpaceX. Exactly. And robots. Ooh, today I get so much money. I love this free money. Andy Peters, he's the pioneer bull. Exactly. That's how Herbert calls me. I don't understand one thing. If companies fire people and let agents and robots create their products, who is going to buy products if people are jobless? Look, that's an interesting question because, first of all, it's one of these thinking mistakes that a lot of people think, oh, these companies are so dumb, they're firing all their people, no one can buy their stuff. But that's not how it works. It's microeconomics versus macroeconomics. If you're a player in the market, you don't care about macroeconomics because you can't control it. You just fire everyone. And second, I think you have a decoupling going on in the economy. It's very sad. And this new economy doesn't need the bottom 50%. And soon it won't be needing the bottom 80% because most of the money is being made by the top 20%. And that means the products that are being sold and bought are also going to transition more and more into B2B situations. So the vastest share of the economy will just be SpaceX buying NVIDIA chips. So who needs people buying hamburgers? Autonomy TAM is very low. Are we overvaluing it? City Bird. Nice name, City Bird. Well, of course, I disagree that autonomy TAM is very, very low because we have to understand what that is, the autonomy TAM. The autonomy TAM is all of global trucking. That's $4 trillion. It is a large share, if not the entire share of car ownership, which is also enormously high. That's whatever, there's like 100 million cars. Times 10,000, that's $1 trillion. So it's probably also 5 to 6 trillion. So the ride-share market is the tiniest little piece of that. First of all, the ride-share market will probably tenfold in size. I mean, it's hard to tell because it will go eat into the car ownership market. So this is all one giant market, transportation of all sorts. So we are talking about a $10 trillion market minimum because you have to put everything that's transportation there. Public transport, 500 billion. Ride-share, tiny, no one cares. Car ownership, and of course, robot trucking, which is huge. The price of goods and services will drop big time due to labor elimination. Yes, very interesting story on the whole deflation side of things and what that actually means for the world. Why didn't you roll your 410 and 440s? You mean my short in the money? I don't like it. Because the way I'm using puts, I have like a very specific short put strategy. I always want to be on the right side of the odds. And that means if I don't see massive downside, that's very important because that's the big risk of short puts. You need to have some safety on the downside. But if you think we are not too high, so that's why you do it more on the bottom and not on the when the stock is too high. If we are at 400, right? And I have a short 400 put and the stock is at 400, I get like whatever, $6 premium, and then the stock falls to 390, which exactly is what happened, and then 385. I rather roll it down to collect more of the premium, right? I rather take the loss. You know, I sold it for $6, I bought it back for $8, I lose $3. I don't want to just roll it flat on 410 because you're getting less and less premium. I rather go down, right? And maximize the free money I get every time. And if the stock moves up, that's your risk. Then you can't capture the upside because you can just make that little premium if you have a 380 strike price. You roll it back up in real time very quickly. You can even stack it if there's an upside move. So that's my technique, how I constantly make significant alpha on these things, but very work intense. That's why I'm doing the bonds. I like to have more money under management, so all my work actually gets rewarded more because it's just the exact same trade. It doesn't matter if you have 10 contracts or 1,000 of these contracts. You do the exact same thing. That's why I think I figured out some things that work very well, but are a lot of work. So why not do the same work and make more money for more people? How do you predict the price of Tesla stock? I guess technical analysis, but if you can tell me what you do, I would love it, obviously. I understand that everyone needs their own strategy, but yes. Well, it's not that I don't want to tell people. I mean, that's why I'm doing YouTube. I'm sharing all my thoughts. You always look at technical. You definitely have to deeply understand fundamentals, but then the rest is like there is to some extent some discretion here. You need to just put it all together at any moment in time. Because you have Iran, you have Trump, you have Ukraine, you have the Fed, plus you have the dynamics of the market and the sentiment. This all comes together. So it's art and science together. But the science piece is very important, of course, as a foundation. Do you think it's easy to make like 5 to 7% in Tesla options in 1 year if you know what you're doing? You mean alpha? I don't think anything is easy. You need a lot of experience with that stuff and pay a lot of attention. This is not for beginners. You can get destroyed. But if you make it your total focus, you can definitely do it. Yes. Do you think other companies interested in Optimus make pre-order deals with Tesla before V3 is revealed? Very good question, Leonardo. I think yes. I don't know when they reveal it, but there is, in my mind, if V3 is decently good, you will see pilots way before that thing is fully done. And these pilots will be very important deals because these will be very big companies. Price will not drop because of robots replacing labor, because robots will be taxed to pay for the labor. That's very speculative. I don't know, Austin, for. Politics is hard to predict because these companies rule our countries more and more. Don't forget that. It's not up to Congress to decide who gets taxed. It's up to Google. So we have to understand that. Robotaxi software is not ready and may never be. I don't think so. Say it's easy to fix infinite loop problem, and I'm not so sure. In any case, why are they starting hardware ramp before the software is ready? Well, that's exactly the question. I think because the software is ready. You ever break down a whole loaded trailer? Good riddance if the bots can do it. Yeah, good point. It's not just robo trucking, it's also robo unloading. What's the breaking news? The breaking news is that we launched a new bond. I went all into this. Go to pioneeralpha.org and you will see what I mean. I'm very excited about this here. Tesla plus 50. Very cool stuff. I'm not going to explain it again, but that is what we are doing here. So we are coming to an end. That was a long session. Wow, very long. I hope that was interesting for everyone. Any last questions here? The next trading week is starting. I need to actually tomorrow go through Pioneer Alpha and see where we are at with the performance, but I think roughly where we left off. This was a pretty neutral week, but I think we got more alpha out of it. Maybe not performance, but alpha over Tesla. Let's see. Yeah, we will see what happened. Robotaxi software is not ready. 5 times 410 and 10 times 440 cash secured puts January for May and June 50,000 premium. I have rolled them 5 odd times for a total of approximately 105,000 premium. So you're using like longer term. What's happening here? You're using longer term puts, it seems to me. Oops, what happened here? Thanks for all you do, Joe. Well, thanks for watching. What do you see? NVIDIA. Well, I'm keeping my NVIDIA. I'm thinking about maybe scaling it back a little bit because NVIDIA is getting pretty high. It's making me a lot of money. What's your market outlook for the rest of the year? Sell in May. I'm taking it step by step, to be honest. Like, this is a wild year. You have Iran, you have the repercussions of that stuff. Plus, you have this AGI total disruption coming. So I am a little bit cautious here and take it step by step, to be totally frank. So I'm not making big long time prediction this year. I take it month by month. And right now I'm bullish. Just tactically for now. Is near-term stock price expansion in Tesla essentially the case of a psychological shift, realizing Robotaxi is actually real? Then a second fast stock expansion once earnings hit the balance sheet. Well, trap zone K9, I think your first part I agree. Your second part, I don't totally agree. I think for the first part up to 490, it's just the realization that we are actually in a very good position and Robotaxi is expanding. We can easily go to 490, all-time highs. Then to push through this, I don't think we have to wait until earnings hit the balance sheet. I'm always talking about my hard forcing function. That hard forcing function is not real earnings hitting the balance sheet, but that we hit this 1,800 robotaxis, let's say 2,000 robotaxis unsupervised, and reach that 5% of free cash flow annualized of 2024. That's not really moving the needle on earnings, but it moves it enough to send the message that it's game over and that we are now for sure on a trajectory to double earnings. So don't wait until actually the earnings are doubled, but at the moment where no one can deny it anymore. And I think then we see a repricing way above all-time highs. Tesla stock in 2 weeks, 4 weeks. Well, I think we can short-term go to 400 in the next 2 weeks. That's what I think. But never guaranteed. I think it's more likely than not. That's how I'm positioned. Very good, guys. Let's wrap it up. Let's go back to your Sunday, wherever you are. Sunday dinner, Sunday lunch, Sunday afternoon, tennis game in Manhattan, wherever you are. And I hope that was interesting. We continue. Next week is going to be exciting in the land of AI, in the land of the pioneers, and in the land of AGI. So I hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks for participating in the Pioneer Academy. We do this every Sunday. Go to pioneerlens.org, ask your questions, and we will cover it. Thank you so much.